Hi, I'm Buzz Dixon. I am the writer and story editor of G.I.Joe, and I'm here at Knowing is Half the Podcast, and I'm with Ray, Robert, and Gina, and have a good time.
He never gives up, he'll stay till the fight's won. G.I. Joe will dare. G.I. Joe.
Everybody, and welcome back to your favorite G.I. Joe podcast show. You turning down my levels already? You just gave me the side eye.
Don't you worry about what I'm doing over here.
I actually felt like that was a little quieter and lower energy than usual.
I was trying to be quieter.
Here's the thing. It was a preset for another podcast that I recorded here earlier.
Oh, okay.
And I looked over, and you were being quiet enough that you didn't peak anything. I was like, oh, shit. I was lucky because
it was cranked up really high.
Normally, you would have blown the thing out.
Man, this is my one chance to blow out the equipment, and I blew it.
Oh, guys, I feel like we really missed the mark on... We really missed an opportunity to take a three-person I voted selfie, because we're all wearing our I voted stickers.
We still have time. Like, the moment is still here. The people won't hear this until Friday. So also, we could make it a thing.
Also, it won't matter, A, because the day's over. B, it's only in Los Angeles, so nobody outside the city limits will care.
I feel like that's like 75% of our audience is just Los Angeles.
Really?
I
don't know where everyone lives.
I'm still holding out hope that one day we'll become really big in Australia. It's still my dream.
Mm-hmm.
Why?
Mm-hmm.
Just because I like Australia, and I've always wanted to go there.
I have too until I saw...
You will not go?
They would give me a free ticket to Australia. I would not go.
I know why.
What? Are you afraid
giant
of
spiders?
Oh, giant spiders.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know.
Among other things.
Chan has a phobia of spiders.
Spiders at the top of the list. There's plenty of other things
they
that
also
could
have
kill
like
you.
Giant bats. I used to really want to go to Australia too.
Giant bats?
Well, you've got like
giant bats.
Well, you've got like giant spiders. You've got other kinds of insects.
There's snakes that crawl out of the toilet and into your butt, and then they eat you from the inside out, and then they wear your skin around.
And Russell Crowe. I mean, he could bang a phone off your head or something. Like, that's a thing.
It's a lot of dangerous things.
I understand now, Chan. I would go in a heartbeat.
I
think Australia looks so awesome.
New Zealand. Do they have deadly things?
They have deadly sheep.
They have hobbits.
And
that's why I want to go. I would be a giant among men.
See, I'm pretty sure in New Zealand they also have those crazy deadly things, but all you think of is like, oh yeah, that's where they made Lord of the Rings, so it's probably a great place.
Yeah.
Then you get there and you like a spider walks up to you, it's like, hey, what's up? Can I take your bags? And
I guarantee you that the touristy places where they'd have the Lord of the Rings stuff, there are no giant spiders there.
I will have you know that today on set, right before interviewing Alexander Skarsgård, a woman noticed a spider on set. And I was like, please, 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 please don't kill it. Can someone take it outside? I'll take it outside if you want to. And then a PA was like, I'll take it outside. And he totally took it outside.
And killed it.
What kind of spider was it?
I don't know. It was like a pretty, it was maybe like the size of a nickel.
Oh.
Here's the thing. Like, there's
just leave that one run around.
That's like that.
Like spiders, there's some spiders that's fine. Then there's some creepier spiders. They're small, like it's borderline. But they're also brown widows in Los Angeles now.
It definitely could have been one of those.
That's a situation. That is a situation.
Speaking of spiders, how do you guys feel about worms? Because this episode is the Worms of Death.
Wait a minute, are we doing a podcast?
I thought maybe we'd do a G.I. Joe podcast while we were here.
This isn't a podcast about Australia and other deadly places.
Well, this is episode 3 of the Mass Device series, The Worms of Death. So, like Australia, would you also not go to the bottom of this trench on vacation?
What?
Because the Worms of Death are there?
What kind of question is that? A, I don't have a problem with worms, even giant worms. These are clearly snakes, or possibly even, as Gina suggested, eels, screaming eels.
The shrieking eels.
Yeah, but
from The Princess Bride.
They also have like 5 legs, though, like at the bottom.
What?
When the tubes get shot up, and then the little stalks come out, and then it's like 5 little like appendages off the bottom of the snake.
I maybe had my head turned to take a note at that point.
They showed it multiple times.
A couple times, yeah.
Well, I watched these episodes with my eyes closed.
That's a problem.
It could be argued.
I feel like we've seen one of these eels in an episode before, because I remember its mouth being open, and I think
any serpent-like creature would probably look like that. I feel like there
in
was
G.I. Joe, you're talking
there's
about?
a robot serpent even that looks a lot like this.
Yeah.
The Bazooka Saw Sea Serpent one maybe sort of looks like it.
I feel like it was very specific.
I mean,
Now
snakes are a common theme with this show.
There was an episode where Leatherneck pulled out his penis and showed it to a bunch of little kids.
Tube snake.
I kind of think it looks kind of like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you might have confused tube snake with tube
Yeah,
bomb.
this episode
Yeah.
is called The
I'm sorry.
Tube Snakes of Death.
Tube steak. Tube steak.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Tube
Is
steak.
that what they're called?
Tube steak?
That's a penis.
I feel like
thing.
Trouser.
both are
I'm
good.
combining trouser snake and tube steak.
Okay, right. Yeah,
Trouser
that makes
eel?
sense. That makes sense.
that
Yeah.
a thing?
Shrieking trouser eel.
Well, getting away from this conversation immediately, we open with a press conference, and Cobra Commander is once again demanding the surrender of everything. And just right out the gate, we know Destro's awesome, because I don't know if you have this sound cue pulled up, but he has one of my favorite insults in G.I. Joe
Yeah.
history.
Back it up.
Yes.
It's really just a sequel, a mildly inferior sequel to the one from last episode.
Really?
Which I believe was Egotistical Popinjay.
Oh,
Yes, that was
I
excellent.
forgot about that.
this
Because
is-
I also liked this one.
But before we even get to that,
Yes.
that's
It's a delight.
that's a solid
that an
maniacal laugh.
Eight
There are
and a
some
half.
good Cobra Commander moments in this episode.
He really shines. He really, like, this is his time, because it's him, like, it's him thinking he's won, and then going crazy with his power. And then
This
him.
is my favorite episode.
Is that right?
Yeah.
And
I feel
then
like
it's
everyone
him-
will know why.
Well, okay. Yes, I know why. We'll get
And
there.
then the wonderful, but not quite as great as last episode's Destro's burn.
Egotistical peacock.
I loved it.
I did
loved
too.
it.
I did too.
Popinjay is
Popinjay is better, but
I had already forgotten about Popinjay, but
yeah,
this
me too.
Peacock was
Me
strong.
too.
That's why you need us here. Otherwise, you would
correct.
Be
That's why they were able to reuse this joke twice.
That's
because,
right. Because my
Ray
attention
and
span
I
is
have
that of a
the- have the
goldfish.
memory of exactly.
Well, Major Blood is there at the big snowy ice cave, and he needs those red crystals. So he gets what's like basically a walking eye, right? It's a giant spider robot.
Yeah, but also first, is this the first time we've seen Baroness and Destro together?
Yes.
Yes.
Because
And
like
they're not a couple yet, I don't think.
that's what I was wondering, but I think they are.
Actually, I feel like we saw them in the background in episode 2.
This is their first like scene together.
Yeah.
Yeah, their first scene together, and I think they're already dating.
I don't think so.
They
I
haven't
feel like-
told anybody yet.
I think they're just
Oh,
flirting. I don't think they're full on dating.
Really?
Because the scene in Pyramid of Darkness where they're making out on the boat and Cobra Commander sees it for the first time and they're all like, I mean, I was getting something out of her eye, Commander.
Oh, you think that was
I
the
think
first?
that was like the reveal of their dating, but I think there was some flirtation already going
No,
on.
I'm on board with Chan. I think that they've been having a secret dalliance.
Yep.
I think we'll here's the deal. We'll keep the both competing theories, and then we'll, as we watch the end of Mass Effect, as we watch the end of Mass Effect 3, Andromeda, and then the Weather Dominator miniseries afterwards, we'll see if we get any clues, and let's just keep this as an
I feel
open
like Ray
case.
maybe already knows the answer.
I feel
He's hoping that
I feel
we
it. I don't
last
know.
long enough that we forget about it.
Yeah.
I would just say let's just keep this as an open debate topic.
Okay.
Until we, and we'll come
Also-
up with a decision.
Those aren't spider robots. Those are Empire Strikes Back probes.
Oh, I also thought mechanical robot spider.
Yeah, well, there's two, because you have the giant walking eye spider robot, and then he goes and he gets the interrogation droid, and he digs it out and then gets it cleaned up and put back in again, and they both go into the cave.
No, they watch
together.
Empire Strikes Back and you're like, make me one of those. Like, that's a little close. All right, how about if we split it up into like two robots that kind of look like, like, yeah, done.
I get. Here's the deal. Yes, I get that 100%. And then Chen, your favorite. Now I don't know science
Fucking
too well.
glowing snake eyes, all caps, and that shows up multiple times. Every time they cut back to him, like, glowing snake eyes, fucking bullshit.
None of this checks out.
Nope.
Nothing about this storyline is going to end in a satisfying way for anyone.
Nope.
Yes, it will, because it ends with a dog.
Also,
You'll be fine.
they walk. Friggin' Snake Eyes walks right
Yeah.
by Major Blood and everybody, and he's like, "Oh, let him alone to die." Great. Why not take his fucking crystals while you at it?
Yeah.
Well, the crystals are heavily irradiated as well. You could see where maybe they did. Also, they knew that was booby trapped.
Here's the thing.
In theory.
Okay. That's because I had a question about that later. But yeah, I was thinking like, oh yeah, let him go. We can get it back later. And it's like, yeah, you're gonna have to go through the snow and get it from him. Also, this has a vaguely like Jurassic Park, Newman dropping the canister into the mud and it falling down the mud vibe to it.
Oh, absolutely. And why not just shoot him? Like, he's suffering and, I guess you're putting him out of his misery, but he is a Joe and he's offering you no resistance and there's 10 of you there with rifles. Put him down.
I was thinking maybe they did this because they wanted to release a special radioactive Snake Eyes toy.
Oh my god!
That like you press him and then he like sort of lightly glows.
That wouldn't be a half bad toy.
That's what I'm saying.
Just one of those like semi-translucent ones with like a little red light inside it.
Yeah.
I have this episode. I have a lot of science jerks questions for Chan, and like a lot of science stuff that I just need to know about. And like one, is this how radiation poisoning works?
We covered this already.
I want to just know for people who are stepping in here.
Not even a little bit.
Not even a little bit. Okay.
However, when we get a little bit later to the cabin, we'll talk again.
I have more questions when we get to the cabin, yes.
Fair enough. Yes, he did get molested by that crazy old blind dude.
Yeah.
And did you guys think that crazy old blind dude at first was Zartan? Just because of the makeup, weird.
Yeah, it definitely.
Turns out he's just a hermit Santa.
Yep.
But, anyway.
It's a raccoon Santa.
Getting way ahead of myself. So we go back to Duke, who's doing meditation.
Why does he have that stupid helmet on? Because I thought, like, okay, we're going to do some sort of thing where it's like, and now we're going to visualize, we're going to get like a visual representation of what you're remembering or something like that.
Right.
No, they don't. He's just like telling them, like, shh, okay, quiet, relax, concentrate. You could have just done that on a fucking couch.
No, I think they wanted to take pictures of him to show around to people to laugh at him.
You think
they were like, oh, we need to hypnotize you. First you need to you need to get down into your underwear. And then we've got to paint your nipples hot pink.
Put him in one of those salon chairs.
Exactly.
Like hair dryer.
Eat this onion. We'll tell you it's an apple and you'll believe us.
Exactly.
And you'll eat the onion.
They're messing with him while he's under the hypno.
Oh yeah. He's getting dicks drawn on him right and left.
And what is the only thing he remembers?
Hottie pussy.
Yeah. I don't know why Scarlett doesn't just smack the taste out of his mouth right there.
Yeah.
All I remember is this hot bitch and oh yeah, so sexy. Don't know where the base is. Sorry, guys.
Also, he remembered that last time. So bad job, hypnotist. But you got him to remember everything that he remembered at the end of the last episode.
Also, Scarlett's in the room for this one. She wasn't in the room the first time. So now I gotta believe she's like...
She was in the room the first time. She was right next to him.
I don't know if you noticed this, but at the end of this scene, he's like, okay, let's get our diving gear and go. Duke's telling everybody to round it up and all that. Walks up to Scarlett. Firm handshake.
They handshaked each
other. That's it.
Yes.
No hugging or like, it's good to see you. Nope. Just like, we're keeping things professional, dick.
Yeah. No, it was a hearty handshake too. It wasn't just like a little bit of like a little polite.
Yeah. I'm telling you, this is not if I was one of these dudes that got to date one of the only available 3 women on the show, and really 2 women because CoverGirl is not.
CoverGirl is great in this series.
This CoverGirl is great.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened to her later on.
The next episode, we could talk about that business.
It's like she finds Jesus or something after this miniseries and then really
and then it all goes
frumps herself up.
Yeah, I really found myself enjoying CoverGirl every time she's on screen.
Yeah, me too.
Next episode, you people. She didn't do jack shit this episode.
That's fine.
Oh, you're right.
That's fine.
But also, we need to email Buzz and be like, why did she change?
Why did she start sucking?
And also, like, why did she become a Frumpy McFrumperson looking?
Yeah, because she had the long blonde hair, which totally worked because it made her totally different than both Scarlett and Lady J. And then,
I don't
I
understand.
like brunettes, so
no, I mean, here's the deal.
She's fine, but she's like a frumpy church lady brunette. Like she's not like a hot brunette.
Yeah, she gets like all professional and like military.
Yeah,
and, like,
it's not. It's like
you mean. A soldier is getting all professional and military?
Yeah, but I don't want that in my Gijoe. I want shit.
What's wrong with her?
I'm on team Ray for this one. I want them to be like dressed as sexy, guys and girls. This is not me being sexist. I want them all as sexy as possible.
Correct.
Like sexy Flanders.
They say who will lead. We don't have any underwater specialists. Boy, would this would be a great case to introduce somebody. And I'm all excited because I didn't remember who led the team to go down to get the heavy water. And then I'm just like, oh man, who's it's just Torpedo. And Torpedo is like the chillest dude on the planet. Like clearly this is his moment to shine when he leads this Joe team down into this aquatic mission, and he's kind of just like being all firm and in charge, but still cracking jokes and being silly and positive.
Is he one of the bickering guys?
He's not. No, that's
No.
Red Suit.
There's
who
too
comes
many
later.
people in this.
Okay, again, next episode, there's some weirdness because there's another couple that is basically leatherneck and
yes,
wetsuit.
yes,
Correct.
I wrote that
And it was-
down.
it was not
I wrote
Torpedo,
that down.
but,
it's two white dudes that are leatherneck,
Yes.
yeah.
It was Breaker and someone else.
It was
Anyway.
it was Tripwire and I'm sorry, Short Fuse and Steeler. That's this episode.
Is it this? Okay,
Yes.
we'll get to it. There's a lot of crosstalk this episode, a lot of like fun sort of like lines for everybody to say.
Yeah.
Although weirdly, the one that stuck out for me is like, here comes our person who's going to be leading us on the dive. Some dumbass says,
That's Moby Dick, I'm checking out.
if that's Moby Dick, I'm checking out.
I love that line.
Because he doesn't know what a submarine is. He's like, oh my goodness, it must be a giant whale coming towards us. What the ever-living
God.
You know, G.I. Joe has that brand new whaling program that they've been indoctrinating them into the Force.
I have to say, there's a weird amount of how to do diving exposition in this episode.
Yes.
Like, we don't need to know this crap.
I don't know. I mean, it sounds kind of like real basic kind of stuff. It might just be like here's a cool new thing that maybe in the 80s, like there weren't a lot of kids' toys for. So it's like, oh, hey, like you do this, and if you buy the toy, you can then, because see, if taking G.I. Joes in the bathtub, that's some grade A business right there.
I was just about to say, that's what this is all about. It's because they want you to take your G.I. Joe toys, and I did. Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, I get it, but we don't need to know all that other stuff. Like, oh, if you surface too quickly, or if you do, it's like this many pounds of pressure. I'm like, come on, man.
I think that is absolutely the sort of thing where like you just get a little bit of information, and as a kid, you're like, oh, now I know that you can't go up too fast, and so you get to make craft tales about your Joes in the bathtub. Like, we can't go up too fast, and here comes the Cobra hydrofoil, and what's going to happen?
You're like spending the afternoon playing with your older brother, but like the guy that you get to play with has the bends the whole time, so he's just got to like sit out.
Oh, Shipwreck came up too fast. He's got the bends. He's going to be in the Joe Infirmary for the entire play session.
You had siblings. I, however, am picturing myself as a 9-year-old naked in the tub. No, actually, would have been younger, older. Naked in the tub, playing with toys and making those kind of stories. So,
Yeah, you should have had a sibling, man. They were fun.
I don't know about that.
Chan, why didn't you work harder to get a sibling?
I
Do
think
better next time.
No, I'm pretty sure I did everything I could to make sure I didn't have a sibling. Mom was like, another one of that?
No.
Jesus
man.
Christ, no.
You were missing out. One of you's He-Man, the other one's Sheera. It's good playtime.
Really?
Yeah.
The He-Man Sheera Christmas special? Is that what you want your life to be like?
It's good playtime. It's good playtime. You also can't play monsters around the house with just yourself.
Yes, you can.
Nah.
It's a very sad game, but yes, you can.
I was going to say. That's how you get serial killers.
Well, and another cool part that happens with her, and that sub was not a G.I. Joe toy, so I don't know why they were featuring it so strongly when it was just a generic throwaway sub.
Maybe they were going to make it a toy.
Maybe it's just so boring looking, though. I don't know.
Yeah, they may have just been trying to sell Torpedo. Who knows?
We do a grape gag, which I just absolutely loved, where it says, the pressure will squeeze you like a grape.
Yeah.
And the one, I think it's Breaker, is eating a grape, and the thing explodes in a way. It was like a boil. It for the size of the grape, there was more content that got sprayed than was physically possible, and I loved it.
This feels like one of the things Buzz was talking about, where the writers wrote something and the animators were like, oh, is there actually a person squashing grapes? All right, then. Then the animator, you're like, what? No, that's a fucking metaphor. What is wrong with you?
We skipped over timber, though.
Well,
Yes,
I was going to come back, and I was going to really give it its own section right here.
No.
That's not how things work.
This
Ray.
is chronological order.
Yeah,
and you skipped
yeah.
Only do
over
chronological order?
Yes, we do.
me writing
I know we do, but we skip around a little bit.
glowing
guys.
snake eyes.
Okay, fine.
Wrote that again.
Glowing snake eyes
Number
sees
2.
a timber wolf in the snow who's trapped in a bear trap,
Aw.
and he saves him.
He thought about not saving him for a second.
Yeah,
Yeah,
started
it's
to walk away.
It's a friggin' wolf, man. Why would you?
I don't give a crap. I'm going to save it no matter what. Even
Right.
if it eats me afterwards, I'm still saving it.
That's not a good idea.
I guess Snake Eyes
I'm
is sort of
gonna do it.
like, I'm already having a bad day.
Yeah.
I may as well do something nice for. And if this wolf kills me, then whatever. I'm already having a bad day.
But instead, the wolf just follows along. Just
Yeah.
follows right behind him.
That's it.
Yeah, that's how all animal stories end.
Gina,
You
that's not how it works in the real world.
You save.
Do not-
listen, I've
not
watched.
take a bear
I've
out of a
watched
trap.
Part of the recent season of The Walking Dead,
Excellent.
and he saves a tiger. He
Yes.
saves a tiger, and then the tiger is his best friend.
Yeah. Although you could be argued that the reason those traps are out there is to prevent animals such as the timber wolves and polar bears from mauling you to death.
No, those traps are out there because there's asshole poachers, Ray.
They're there for the poachers.
And the poachers are killing wolves for their for wolf penis.
Yo,
to, like, sell
wolves,
to Chinese.
wolves have been hunted to near extinction, you guys. You do not understand this, especially the gray wolf. In New Jersey, they do a bear hunt every year because they're like, oh, too many bears, blah, blah, blah.
Do we want bears in New Jersey?
Yeah. I want them everywhere.
You want them everywhere.
Gina's gonna end like Grizzly Man.
Oh, my
She's gonna go
goodness.
into the forest like, oh, there's a bear to trap. I gotta let him out. Here lies Gina.
No, I'm gonna.
She loves animals
you know
too
what?
much.
I'm gonna free a bear from a trap, and then he's gonna be like, "You can give me 3 names, 3 names of people you want me to kill."
Oh my goodness! So the bear becomes Arya Stark. Basically.
No.
And the bear is
the bear
Jack
is
and Hagrar.
Jack. Oh my god!
You deserve that.
Wow, wow, that happened. Well, yeah. So Snake Eyes makes a new friend, basically. I mean, maybe the inner monologue. He sees Timber in the trap. He
Yeah.
starts to walk away and goes, wolves have been hunted to near extinction even in the
Yeah.
year 1983. I got to go do my part. And then
This is why
Yes.
we go in chronological order, because now we have to skip over the scene with the grapes
Yeah.
and go right to another glowing Snake Eyes
that's
scene.
what I'm
Yeah.
talking about. Because then the polar bear attacks, and that polar bear was very large.
That is not how big bears are. I don't know.
This is why we need bear traps.
I don't
Gina.
know if you remember the giant Indian.
Yeah, he has the
Also,
same growth hormone
I
Lamar had.
There's a perspective problem in this episode, in this whole series.
I wrote down, what did the 5 claws say to the canister of radioactive gems?
Slap! I guess, yeah, because the bear, it's like, remember that episode of He-Man we watched for the feed, and it was the monster that started at like 7
Yes,
feet tall, and then by the end of it was like 55 feet tall. That's how I felt about this polar bear. Depending on what angle we're looking at, he was either slightly bigger than Snake Eyes or 18 times bigger than Snake
Yeah,
Eyes.
well then, see, this is why you always save animals, because then Timber saves Snake Eyes from the bear, and even Timber is like the size of that bear's hand.
Timber gets his ass kicked
Yeah.
too, for his trouble.
I did not
He
like it.
distracted him for about a quarter of a second. The bear was like, fuck this.
Yeah, I don't even know if Timber helped, to be honest with you.
But
Like-
also, does this old blind man, does he pull an Obi-Wan Kenobi, like chasing off the Tusken Raiders?
100%.
Well,
yes.
except that he actually uses a cattle prod, a super long cattle prod, instead of just like being scary.
Making a noise.
Like it legitimately.
It was like one of those grabby things for getting stuff off the high shelves for short people, except it shocks you.
Wait, what? Does that exist?
Gina, I just changed your life. If you ever need to be on top of the fridge again, you don't need a chair.
Here's the thing. Oh, fuck a chair. If you want to know how I get things, I hoist myself up onto my countertop.
Oh, God.
And then I stand, and I think this every time I do it.
Wildly
this is
unsafe.
going to be how I die.
Oh my god!
I'm going to fall, break my neck, and I've
Did you see the most recent
fallen
American Gods?
so many times. I saw most of it. I'm not through it. I have to watch it in chunks at work when I have time to watch
It's
it.
it's at the very beginning with the old lady who climbs up on the.
Yes, as I was watching it, but she even had a step stool. I don't have that. I just use my upper body strength, do like a push up onto the thing. That's for
that's what it
chubby
is.
people, I think.
That's not for chubby people.
That's for people who can't
It's
like
for people who can't
fuse to the
reach
couch.
things on high
You
shelves.
think you just have it on the couch, use it to reach the remote because you're fat? Is that where you're going with that?
They
that is
advertise-
not what it is for.
They advertise this on Matlock for old women who can't reach the cans on the top shelf.
But I
Gina.
feel like this is how I stay active: is by hoisting myself up onto the countertop
think you could
and then
strengthen-
precariously standing
Strengthen
while
your hand
I
muscles.
get too many things. I've almost died many times.
Yeah, maybe stop
Not
doing
a
that.
bit. No, I like to live on the edge.
dang it.
Once I start living my life by fear, then I stop freeing wolves from bear traps.
How many wolves have you freed
I'm
from bear
genuinely
traps?
concerned for Gina's health now.
Yeah, like-
I don't know that we're going to make it through all the rest of the miniseries because she's just going to die.
Okay, so they make a huge plot point in the moment of showing that Snake Eyes lost the canister as he's being carted away by Snow
Odin.
Santa.
Let's call him
By
Odin.
I like Odin.
Also, fix the wolf first. That's what I wrote down. I was like, leave that ninja, fix the wolf.
I didn't see because it doesn't seem like he takes Timber with him. So does Timber wake up and
What?
follow, or
No.
does he
He
put
does.
Timber in the thing?
Yeah, he
I
picks him
missed
and
that.
puts him in.
Okay,
But also,
I totally
this is the
missed that.
Jurassic Park moment with the canister because it falls down the side of the snow and the snow sort of like half buries it.
Right. You guys, he's got this cattle prod.
Yes.
Uses to shock the bear. And then
And himself
he's
when he's
all
feeling
like,
saucy.
yeah, guys, yeah, to the dogs. And bzz, bzz, bzz. Does he shock the dogs?
Oh, he better not.
Instead of doing like a reins, kind of like, yeah, shake the
Ugh.
reins.
He better not. I will find him and kill
I think
him.
he shocks his sled dogs.
Because it looks
I
like he
didn't
shoots
notice
twice
that.
at the dogs and then once forward, like, go this way.
Well, that's what I think is like, because now he just kind of into the air and they hear the noise and get moving. But I think as he's training them, he must actually shock them so that they're scared of that noise.
You have to, don't you?
I hate this guy.
Yep.
I hate this guy.
Now you hate him? He's got
Yeah.
all the dogs.
I mean,
and
he
you hate
saved Timber. I'm just trying
it's
to create
not.
moral quandaries for you to go home and like sweat
no
over.
amount of good deeds undoes a bad deed to an animal, in my opinion.
him. Wow, really?
Yeah.
You know
Here's the
Michael
thing.
Like
Vick
those
made a
ha-
lot of money.
Like those happy. No, I hope he dies.
I bet you Gina did something horrible to an animal in her youth, and now she's
No.
like she had to bury it, and now she's just like such an advocate for.
She's like Mike Huckabee's kid who tortured that animal to death.
yeah.
Oh God.
Oh,
the
Is your
fact
dad
that-
Mike Huckabee?
The fact that his dad still holds office after that story came out is disgusting to me.
why couldn't Mike Huckabee's son torture Mike Huckabee to death? I mean, we'd
Yeah.
be missing those jokes on Twitter. I'm kidding, of course. Secret Service.
I'm not.
G.I. Joe will return after these messages.
He'll fight for freedom wherever there's trouble. G.I. Joe is there. G.I. Joe.
Cobras captured our attack cannon. Call in G.I. Joe. Go get Breaker. He can do it.
He never gives up. He'll stay till the fight's won.
Get the rapid fire motorcycle.
G.I. Joe is there. G.I. Joe.
He did it. You've not seen the last of Cobra.
G.I. Joe and Cobra the Enemy, each sold separately from Hasbro. Now, back to G.I. Joe.
I labeled this as Gina's music. That's in every episode.
Every
Gina.
episode.
Not
Every
false.
episode.
False.
Every time, yeah, to the same effect. Every time I hear that music now, I'm like, hey, that's that music Gina forgets about every episode.
I think it's like if I listen to it all the way through, it erases its memory of me. It's like the silence
like
on
the
Doctor Who.
Like those old school like DVD rentals, the Divx. Remember those? How you'd watch the movie and then it would erase itself from
No,
the
Ray,
CD?
stick to Doctor Who
I will
things,
not.
or he's like it's like the Shadow King from Legion.
Okay, I'll go with that.
Music is like the Shadow King from Legion. It makes me forget that I listened to it.
And it just replaces it with a picture of Dan Stevens eating tape.
I wouldn't mind that.
Well, all right. So,
what?
Nope. Moving
Like
on.
specifically,
Nope.
like Dan Stevens eating tape, replacing your memories. That's a weird thing to want.
Sure, every time she watches G.I. Joe now, instead of music, she just sees a dude eating tape. Major Blood returns to the crystals in a completely throwaway scene.
Not throwaway because
no.
the crystals are like they look like that kid's toy.
The kid's toy.
You know, like where
Dak.
you have like three different colors of shapes, and they're long. You guys have not played with enough kids' toys recently.
You mean like one shaped like a star, one shaped like a triangle, one
Yeah,
shaped like
and
a
they're
circle?
all blue, red, and yellow, and you have to like when you have to figure out which goes where. It teaches kids about colors and shapes.
like perfection?
No,
for
perfection is
much
like
younger,
for
but
12-year-olds.
That idea.
Okay.
It's like it's like a sort of like a workbench, but it's made
Yes,
of plastic.
yes.
And it's like
Sometimes
about
it's made
that
of
big,
wood.
like the size of a toaster. And it's
we
for
have
like a 1-year-old.
I think we have something very similar at my house right now.
Yeah, I was going
Now
to
that you
say.
mention it.
I was going to say.
I
This
think
is
I own
like
that.
the most basic toy anyone.
It's like having that little popcorn popper on a stick.
Oh, I need one of those.
Yeah,
Just-
yeah.
no,
everybody
do not
needs
get
one of
those.
For
Oh, they're
me.
the best.
No.
The best.
No.
What?
Seriously, like the things that like you push and they pop up and
Yep.
make noise.
That's the
so
raddest.
real story. I was at Samir's
God, did
house
somebody die?
on Sunday.
One
No,
of her family
but
members?
like you will get so annoyed by it so quickly. And one of Samir's sisters was like, I keep throwing it out and it keeps coming back. It's like that. It's like the doll from the Twilight Zone. And it's seriously like every time I'm there, someone will be like, oh my God, kid, like let's put this freaking crap away because it's so noisy and so obnoxious and all the parents want it away. And then the next time it's down again somehow.
I will say this.
Okay.
I remember how much joy I got from that toy as a child. I do not remember any interim memories of being irritated by it as an adult or a young adult.
When's the last time you were around it though?
Oh, I have no idea.
Yeah.
It's entirely possible that I have never been around it since I was a child. But that being the case, I'm going to get my child one of those because
You're going to regret it.
It made me so happy as a little kid.
Because we're recording this right now, if Chan decides he hates the toy and it's super annoying, Gina, it's now our responsibility to keep
to bring this
replacing
back.
it.
Well, I mean, here's the thing.
Just stick it,
Just make
stash
sure
it.
he's always got one.
Yeah.
Stash it in the closet somewhere that's just like the little handle sticking out, so like a child would like look over and like,
I mean, here's the thing. I feel like I am around kids way more often than you guys are.
Oh, yeah.
Having
No doubt.
3 nieces and nephews, and Samir has 4 nieces and nephews.
Yep.
There's not really a week that goes by without
Yeah.
me being around kids.
the pitter
And
patter of tiny feet.
They get so much joy from literally everything. Like you could hand them a bunt pan and they'd be like, "Oh yeah."
Well, yes,
bunt
but
pan.
they would bang the bunt pan very loud. The thing
Yeah.
is, children get joy out of loud things, so
They're going to love me so much.
I got a lot of joy out of my
they will
mom.
bang you against the
My
floor.
mom used to give us like little worksheets to do, and she would give us gold stars after
Oh my
we finished
god!
them. They were
oh
so
my god!
fun. They were
That is
so
the
fun.
nerdiest, most horrible thing I could
It's not
possibly
horrible.
imagine.
I loved them. Like I used to ask
Oh,
my mom to do
no.
them.
Oh no!
Yeah.
Gina did homework for fun as a child.
When I was like, it was when
Oh,
I
that's
was like
awful.
3. I didn't know what homework was when I was 3. It was before I was in pre-K.
This is a story of child abuse.
It was great. No,
Gina's
my
gonna have to go
mom.
to a therapist and work this one out.
My mom was a teacher, so she was like, "Do you guys want to do this?" And my brother and I were like, "Yes."
yeah, my mom was a teacher too, and she used to give me those worksheets, and I'd be like, I don't fucking want to do this.
No, they're great. And then like getting,
not. They're
and then
not
like
fun.
you have
They're
all the
not.
different colors of stars. So you'll be like, and she'd be like, "What color star do you want?" And you'd be like, "I haven't gotten a yellow one in a long time. I want a yellow one."
Oh my god, this is
They
like
were
listening
great.
to a person being like, "Oh yeah, sure, my dad put out cigarettes on my arm, but that's totally normal. All kids
See,
have
here's
cigarette
the
burns
thing.
on their arms."
Here's the thing. That would be true if you couldn't look around this table and say, "Huh, which one of us is the happiest adult?" It's this guy right here.
Yeah, I
So
think that's
clearly-
probably true.
Ouch. That is true enough.
So, guys, there's a big underwater battle that happens
I don't
as
know.
we
I
find
feel-
harsh truths.
I don't know that I have the morale to continue on with this episode now.
Let me ask you a question, Chan.
Is it about shrieking eels?
Not yet. First off, the guy says it's hot enough around the sulfur water to hard boil an elephant. How does that work exactly?
That is a very strange saying. And this is
What was the first part of it?
They're talking about the sulfur. There's some sort of like extra sulfur in the water, and
The stuff flowing out of there is molten sulfur. The water around it is hot enough to hard boil an elephant.
yeah.
Because an elephant, I mean, you get it, right? An elephant is huge.
So you would
Yes.
crack the egg. So you crack it open,
No,
and
do
there's a
you
yolk
know-
inside the elephant.
right. That's the thing. To boil an elephant, yes. To hard boil an elephant is taking two things and kind of mashing them together that don't really go.
Yeah. I would. You could hard, but I feel like. Yeah, I guess, but like I feel like he's saying like, oh, if you hold the elephant over it, it'll hard boil it. You put him in it, you're boiling it.
It just sounds delicious to me. I don't know.
What? How do you? Oh, Gina, how do you hard boil an egg? How do you
I
hard
hold
boil
my
an
bare
egg?
hand in boiling hot water for 8 to 10 minutes, and then I give it an ice bath in with my hand, and then I bandage up my hand.
That's hot enough to hard boil Gina's hand.
Okay, I will say this though. It is at around this point during this segment where I started to think, you know what? This miniseries is really, really good.
Yes.
Storytelling wise, for a young adult of the age that they're going for, like you have this sort of creepy imagery, and which they even say is like, oh, it's like it's in a nightmare. These weird tubes, and if for some reason you missed the tomorrow on, you wouldn't know what was going on. Just that, like there's this crazy shit, and like sure maybe some sort of geological formation. I don't know. We're trying to find this heavy water, and then these snakes come out of it, and all of it sort of follows as a story. It has like stakes. And it has like a thrill. It has tube stakes. Leatherneck's penis is all over this thing. It's so creepy.
God.
But like it makes sense as a story, and you would be watching it as an adventure, and like it keeps building. Oh my God, there's these things. Oh, now they're being attacked, and they still got to get to the water, and then they make a deal with Cobra, and then the Cobra betrays them, and all of this.
Yeah.
It makes sense to me why I actually still remember this. So much so that I thought that maybe I had watched it recently, because it really kind of sunk in as a strong story.
Because you're telling the story of many different characters all at the same time, very simply, just through their actions. You don't need to tell me that the Baroness is deceitful and evil,
right?
Because she won't take the deal with the Joes until it's obvious that she herself is in peril. And then at first opportunity, she takes the opportunity to say, deals off, give me all your stuff.
Yeah, I agree. This would have been cool. Also, it is kind of scary for little kids.
Yeah. I was terrified of the tube worms.
And it was pitched at just the right level where it's, like you may get a little nightmare, but it's not like crazy, like I'm scarred for life. But it's still, it burns itself in your memory.
We had a creek in our backyard growing up where I did, and anything that looked remotely like a snake or a worm of any kind, and I think it was implanted by this episode, I was terrified of it. Would scream and run away.
Tube steak.
Leatherneck's penis is in the water. Run!
There's an old man in the creek.
It's not from the G.I. Joe episode that Ray was afraid of that.
Also, I guess this is the time period before our official U.S. doctrine was don't negotiate with terrorists. Because the first thing they do is negotiate with terrorists.
Oh, yeah.
Well, someone says request permission to wheel and deal.
That's Torpedo.
Torpedo, yep.
And so yeah, she turns on them, and they decide to join forces.
Yes,
and
which is great.
What they do is they attack the tube worms. So somebody please tell me, how is that different from their plan before this?
They're not shooting at each other. So you don't have to worry about Cobra and Joe shooting each other. You can focus on the worms.
That
was what I got out of it, because I thought the same thing.
It still felt like they were kind of shooting at each other still, but maybe...
Well, they were shooting at each other's tube worms, because you might not have the angle on yourself, but you might have the angle on the guy over there.
I gotcha. Okay.
I really like, though, that Baroness is still, like, keeping her head about her while there's a tube stake on her.
Yep.
Like it's like wrapped around her eyeball, mechanical eyeball thing.
She's got a walking eye too of its own, like aquatic walking eye.
And instead of just being like, oh my God, I'll do whatever you want, like she's like, all right, let's hammer out some specifics to this deal.
Yep.
Here's what I'm offering, and it's like, whoa, she's awesome.
Just keeping her poop together. And then the way they come up with the final, like after the commercial break, how Duke comes up to defeat the tube worms. Is, okay, Chan, I'm going to need help with this one a lot.
I hate this.
Because they shoot the base of the rocks, okay, and I guess it's sort of like a snail with a rock or whatever, with a shell that they're hiding inside. So you're kind of like stuck inside. They float up, and as they float up, the pressure gets worse.
No, the pressure gets lighter. It becomes less. But because it's a thing they found, like when they try to go like down into the Marianas Trench or wherever you go, and you pick up a fish there. It's used to
being under that type of pressure.
Yeah. So when you take it up, it's like when you go out into space, your body is built for 1 psi. Is that not 1 psi, but like 1 atmosphere of pressure.
Okay.
Because that's where we live. You go out into space where it's basically a vacuum, and as we learned in this last week's Doctor Who, oxygen bubbles form in your blood. The the boiling point of water is much lower, so your the fluid in your eyes boil.
Oh, man.
And basically your body tries to expand. It won't explode like pop, but everything will all the stuff is going to rupture in on the outside of your body and whatnot.
So it's basically they're taking the tube worms and putting them in the vacuum of space.
Yes.
I hate this. I also hate how badly they're screwing up this underwater habitat, and I think that this is the cause of these worms' extinction.
Oh no! I feel like they left plenty of the worms behind.
I mean, but they like effed up their habitat, so I just feel like at some point people are going to be like, "Oh, they were thriving. Now what's happened to them? There's only like 2 left."
Interestingly, they do blow up a couple of the columns before the snakes come out,
and nothing happens.
And I feel like this is a colony, and they expand. Normally, I think they would fill a larva would fill a slot that did not exist, or like if a tube worm died, they would take over someone else's tube or make their own if there were none available. And it seemed like there were a lot of tubes. I think they're fine. Like as a species, they'll be fine.
They can get out of the tube and go back down and find another tube, is what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if they make it out of that. And also they only took out the ones that were probably nearest than actually attacking.
It seemed like there were a lot more around than just where the heavy water was.
One of my favorite
Gina.
things. One thing that I actually really did like. That is a pretty awesome, scary monster noise.
That's terrifying.
Yeah, I just pooped myself, guys.
I'm telling you, go rewatch that scene from The Princess Bride where he talks about the shrieking eels.
That's what they were, right? Okay, well, Baroness says no deal at the end of all of this, and G.I. Joe's like, actually, we're just going to leave. And she's like, oh, okay.
I like that she's always on brand.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Chan, this is where I need more science help from you.
Oh, boy.
We're back at the cabin with Snake Eyes and his glowing radiation, which has now been due to a composite of leaves and herbs. It sucked the radiation out of him like a sponge, and he puts it in the fireplace, so now Snake Eyes no longer is irradiated. What's up with that?
Nothing.
It sounds like legit science to me.
It seems like very legit science to me. Like, it seems like this guy would know.
Also,
he lives near the crystals.
Quick jump back. They talking to Dr. Vandermeer, and they're like, and the Cobra Commander is like, you guys all surrender, or we're going to disintegrate. No, it's not. We're going to disintegrate New York City.
Oh, excuse me. Yes,
and I do not recall the mass device ever having the power to disintegrate shit.
This was another point of contention for me, because in the preview for this episode, when they get in the previously on G.I. Joe at the beginning, they say that they disintegrated the Eiffel Tower as opposed to just like teleported it, which immediately like struck me in the previously on, because it was like, but this thing doesn't. They can tell people they're disintegrating it, but they're not really. They're just teleporting it. But what's the difference if you never see it again? You know.
Yeah, except that they teleported all of the
people,
the army, the Russian army,
right,
and then showed them.
Did they show the army?
Yeah,
yeah,
and that was part of their intimidation tactic.
If you're the world, you don't actually know what this thing can do. If he tells you it disintegrates things, then okay, I believe you. It disintegrates things. I've seen no evidence that you're wrong.
Except that he's telling like the Baroness, like, disintegrate, all of New York City.
That was weird. Yeah.
So I don't know that
he bought into his own hype.
Maybe that's what it is.
He said it enough times that he was like Donald Trump.
Yeah, and probably at some point someone was like, should we tell him that it's just being teleported? It's like, dude, are you really going to split hairs? This guy's going to cut your head off for saying that he's wrong, so just keep it on the DL.
Yeah.
That's fine. Let's move on. This radiation sickness, bullshit. Also, there are pills that you can take, potassium chloride, I believe, that will...
enough with your Western medicine, Chan. Stop trying to push your big pharma on us.
And poultices and unguents.
And do you take a tomato bath soup? Is that a...
Ooh, I would eat that while I was bathing in it.
And I feel bad for the dude who... Although I guess it makes sense. He's a weird hermit who lives out in the middle of nowhere and never gets to talk to anybody.
Yes.
So sure, I'm going to talk for 2.5 straight minutes.
Sure.
Exposition, everything. I
was totally fine with
someone's here.
By the way, I'm blind, but I can still tell you're a good guy. I also did the thing with the radiation.
Even though you can't talk, and I have nothing to go on except that, like, you probably do a lot of push-ups because you're muscly. That's all I got to go on.
I will say that, like, if someone had a wolf friend with them, I would assume they were a good person. But I will say, Snake Eyes, break your fucking vow of silence to give that dude a thank you. You don't have to tell anyone.
He probably gave him a thumbs up, and the
He
dude
did
was
not.
like, I can sense your thumbs up.
He did not. He doesn't even shake his hand at the end. Like, at least, like...
That upset me,
But
yes.
seriously, I was like, hey, just be like, yo, dude, I took a vow of silence. But, like, thank you so much. Just don't ever tell anyone that I broke
Here's
this
what
vow of
happened.
silence.
Here's what happened. That dude was like, I'm blind, so I don't even know what your face looks like. As soon as he leaves, like, I can see. Snake Eyes knew what was up. He was like, that dude was looking at me, and he saw my face. Whatever's wrong with it. I guess we find out what Cobra Commander's face looks like, but we never find out what
Sort
Snake
of.
Eyes is.
I thought that there was nothing wrong with Snake Eyes' face. I thought it was just part of his vow.
Or part of his commando vow.
My understanding is there are different storylines here. Some are that he got shot in the throat and that, or got hit there.
So I have to cover my face.
He can't talk anymore, and so this is just part of his ninja thing.
Sure.
Like other things are that he's scarred. On the.
I feel like in the movie it was just that he, like, this is the thing that he does.
Although at the beginning, when Snake Eyes was first created, he was just a commando. None of this ninja bullshit.
Correct. He doesn't do
later
any
on.
ninja shit. And, like, I've totally forgotten about this until somebody, one of our listeners,
Diana
pointed
Davis.
out. Yeah, pointed it out to us. Yeah, I think you're right. It was. Thank you, Diana. Was that he was a commando originally, and I had completely forgotten about that. I only remembered him as a super ninja,
right?
And you realize he's not doing any kung fu in anything. He's shooting people with guns and stuff.
He's just being like a tough badass. So,
right.
Yeah.
But the ninja thing works way better, and I'm glad they made that change. Because the whole deal with the Arishikaga clan and all that, it's just like, it's wonderful storytelling. But anyway, and then the plot point I pointed out earlier, the big plot point about the canister being missing in the woods, he just returns it.
Yeah.
You just, I found his, by the way, I found your canister. Here you go.
Yeah.
This may have been one of those things where, like, we had an additional 2 minutes of story. They're like, just cut that and just say that he just brought it. That's fine.
Yeah, I know we already animated this really long bit, but yeah, it's fine.
I was thinking, do we think that this old guy definitely isn't evil, right?
No, he's a good guy.
Nah.
Okay.
He's just an eccentric good guy. He's serving a Deus Ex Machina in the moment.
But I'm
then
saying,
he's gone.
like, spoiler alert, later on that canister ends up being not so good.
Yeah. But he wouldn't have known that.
Yeah, that was like a Cobra thing. That makes
Yeah.
It seems like a Cobra type thing to do.
How great would it have been, though, if he had, like, taken off his face and it would have just been like Zartan and this was all, like, a really elaborate ruse just to...
That would have been pretty sweet.
Yeah.
And it may have been something that got cut. Although I don't think Zartan was that wouldn't have been a thing that they would have had at this point.
So moving on to the next scene, why does Vandermeer want to surrender so badly? Like what happened to him? Because he's constantly like, we should just all surrender.
This is because in the G.I. Joe universe, they feel like real men are army men and scientists are pussballs.
Okay. And there's some truth to that in life as well as the G.I. Joe universe.
Shut your mouth. But also,
that was for
he was probably looking around. Was like, "You guys aren't gonna get shit done. We have one fucking element. Y'all can't get your shit together. Just pack it in. Come on now."
Yeah.
It struck me watching this episode and then more in the next one. G.I. Joe keeps coming up with spur of the moment plans that keep not working. Like, they keep having their own, like, quick fixes on things. And then, oh yeah, that didn't work at all. Moving on. And I guess I can see why Vandermeer might get a little disenfranchised at a certain point. But this is where you get the short fuse and Steeler fighting like the married couple. You're not telling it right. You're not telling. I'm telling the story now.
Yeah.
I'm going to physically pick you up and move you.
Yeah.
And then also, we get Cover Girl actually being, like, competent at this level.
Yeah. What happened?
Just weird.
Yeah.
Especially also in these early episodes, like, Scarlet's pretty awesome, too. I feel like they did some marketing research on this first miniseries, and they were like, the girls are too cool. Make them lamer.
It may have been because Lady J isn't here yet. It may have been like her CoverGirl's competence got moved over to her, and then she just became a third stringer. At some point, they may have decided like blonde is equated with like bimbo, so best not to go that route because it's too much explanation. That like, and she used to be a model, and then she became a badass. Blah blah blah. The brown haired girl is the tough one, and CoverGirl would just like yap and talk about.
I honestly bet it was just like it was an animation thing that they were like, this blonde is like too like doesn't transfer
too
well
beautiful
because there's not too many blondes on the show. If you know this.
Like Rock and Roll usually has a helmet, and is also rarely on.
Yeah, they usually don't.
He's a little more of a dirty blonde, though. He's not like she's like bright yellow.
No,
yeah, they don't
is,
use that color a lot, and I think it's probably something that like does not transfer well or is difficult for some reason. And they said like, look, if this chick's going to be a main character, we got to change her hair color.
Yeah,
that would be my bet.
I get that. But the animation alone would be hard to do. Okay. So Shortfuse and Steeler, with the help of Breaker, they basically build a killer satellite out of bubblegum and potato chips.
And launch it from inside a building.
And launch it from inside the building where they're all standing.
Open up the skylight. We're just going to shoot a rocket into space.
Yeah, what's the problem?
From, the den.
Yeah. That's bottle rockets. That's a real thing. You could do that.
Yeah.
And then, so the killer satellite goes up into space to try to knock out the Cobra satellite. Decent plan. I like this plan. Vandermeer actually seems like this. By the way, like, here's all the things wrong with your satellite, but it's kind of friggin' awesome you guys built a killer satellite. Rock on. I'm not going to want to surrender now. Okay, cool. And so as it gets close to the Cobra satellite, a warning alert bleeps on the side of the satellite. My only question is, who is that warning alert light up for? Because there aren't exactly people hanging outside the satellite.
Well, but then it bloops down to...
it does, but I'm just like, that wasn't necessary. You didn't need that.
Sure it was.
In case a Martian's driving by and he's just like, oh, that satellite needs some help.
That was like one engineer's contribution. Like it was like mostly done. He had been away for a while and he was like, I want to be involved. And they're like, there's nothing left for you to do. And he was like, it needs a warning light on the outside.
Is that like the writer who changes a script and then just like severely adds one character just to like, get their residual check? Is that how that works?
Yeah.
Are we going to talk about how they beamed a whole bunch of Cobra troops up into space?
That's the next point.
And then used up all of their materials getting them there?
I mean, they don't really focus on this at all, but this is some dark shit.
That is a dozen Major Toms up there that are about to come back to Earth hard way.
Yeah. Because they say, and those troops are ice cold too. It's just like, yep, getting shot into space where I'm going to die. Doot, 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 doot. Space.
Hey, guys, couldn't we have just sent up some automated guns or something like that?
No. Yeah, set up, a bomb of some kind or a Cobra, like they got the remote control technology. Why not send up like a drone of some kind?
Yeah, they have a joystick, which is that is every control for every object in the G.I. Joe universe at the time. It's like, we need to pilot a spacecraft through 4 dimensions of, like whatever. How about a joystick? Yeah, okay, cool.
Done.
We've got a spider robot with 14 individual arms that each need controls. How about a joystick?
Great.
Well, can you put a button on it? Yeah, okay. Done.
I'll put 2 buttons on it.
Whoa.
Nouveau.
Crazy talk. Yeah, that's the 5200, not the 2600.
That is correct.
What was it?
7800?
Yeah, I don't. It was a number bigger than the 2600.
Yeah.
Anyway, 12-year-old Cobra Commander comes out for just a moment. Fuck yeah, Cobra rules.
I love it.
That made me so happy.
Put up the horns, draw it on your peachy. Cobra rules.
Yeah. And I love that just how dark it gets in that moment. They're just like, yeah, we just murdered 12 people and we're not going to talk about it at all. You saw what just happened. You can extrapolate their fate.
And this is the other thing that made me really dial into this and think of how good it actually is storytelling wise. Because they had 5 episodes, and they don't even do a very good job of it later on when they do the miniseries.
Yeah.
But Cobra feels like a threat. They're actually doing the things they say they're going to do and threaten to do, and are actually
having success.
Yeah. So obviously, you can only do so much when at the end of every 22 minutes you have to have G.I. Joe win
and the Cobra base explode.
Yeah. But in this format, you're like, oh fuck. They might not make it out. They might be able to do some fucking damage.
Every time G.I. Joe throws a punch at Cobra, Cobra's like parrying and counterpunching over and over and winning.
Yeah.
And G.I. Joe's getting their little victories in here and there, too. They got the crystals. They got half the heavy water. But Cobra looks very competent.
Yep.
In what's going on here.
I feel like they just dumbed down most of the characters.
Yeah, a little
in
bit.
This show after the.
Yeah, and that's, like I said, it's kind of like just an artifact of the format. You just don't have enough time to get that entire arc out there.
And what I appreciate also is that as soon as the killer satellite plan fails, Vandermeer immediately wants to surrender again.
Sure.
His hope is just busted immediately. Guys, we got to do the surrender. We're done. Everybody, like, can I leave?
Well, that's the thing is like we only have this one element. Fucking okay. Oh no, we got a plan. We got this. Yay, yo, Joe.
Okay.
And it fails again. Like, did I just not tell you that we're fucked?
Yeah.
And then fucking Snake Eyes has to be a slow rolling bitch and be all like Cover Girl rolls in and look what I found. Like, ooh, here's me.
He could be sitting in the car next to her.
Yep.
Nope. He's hiding under like a box of stuff in the trunk.
I also like how she says to him, the first thing she says to him is, "Oh, I knew you were too tough for some crystals to finish you off." And I'm like, the rest of that sentence is, "But I assumed you would die of radiation poisoning," which is vastly different from just some crystals.
Yeah. Yeah.
Also,
it's okay.
no one thinks to ask him. Like, if that were me, I would be like, "Hold up, did you just find a way to cure cancer in like 2 hours?"
Yeah, but he wasn't awake for it, so he doesn't know what the guy did. He just knows it involves some herbs.
I would just be like, "Hey, take us back to that fucking Odin dude, so he can tell us what herbs suck out radiation poisoning."
Sorry, all I can remember is a beautiful woman. I can't help you.
And then the episode ends because Snake Eyes gives him the container with the red crystals in it, and it turns out that nobody notices because they just leave it lying on the ground. Like they basically just dump the crystals into the container and just throw it over their shoulder.
Oh, by the way, radioactive gas. Everybody's gonna be glowing now.
Everybody's shooting down. Yep, and then they just kind of crash, and then that's the end of it.
Like, oh, the fumes, they have paralyzing properties.
Yeah.
Thanks, Duke. You could just say it's paralyzing gas.
Yeah.
And that's it. That's the
Bechdel
end of the
fail
episode. Yeah.
again.
Well, we had three female characters in a reasonably prominent role in this episode.
Don't patronize me, Ray.
I'm just saying, it gets closer. We know where we go with the Bechdel test and have a lot more passes than we thought we were going to.
Yeah, there will not be a Bechdel pass in either of these miniseries, I don't think.
Baroness and Scarlet might talk. That's our best chance at having something happen.
Actually, in the next time on, not for this episode, but for the next episode, makes it seem like Cover Girl. No, Scarlet and the hot slave chick
Selena.
become friends.
Oh, right. There
you go.
But they're probably talking about, have you seen Duke?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I seen Duke. What you need to talk to him for? You just step off. I'll clock you in the fucking nose.
She's like, I've been a slave for so long. I don't give a fuck.
I just want to be subservient to the strong blonde man.
And that'll do it for this episode. Episode 3, the what was it called? The Worms of Death.
Worms of Death.
This, to me, the worm scene is like the most memorable part of the mass.
It's some good
device.
crap.
Right next to Cobra Rules.
Cobra Rules pretty strong.
I'm going to write WOD. Worms of Death.
And guys, a little bit of contact information for the show. You can always hit us up at facebook.com/knowingishalfthepodcast. Or you can join our Patreon if you want to subscribe to the show and get our bonus episodes and content. We're going to record an episode of Recess coming up. And we also have Beast Wars Transformers going in the vault very, very soon. And Silverhawks is already in there. We did an episode of that, which was a pretty good episode, actually, all things considered. Patreon.com/knowingishalfthepodcast. A few bucks a month, and you can get access to all the bonus stuff. And that's basically it for me. You can hit us up on Twitter. We're at G.I.Joe Podcast.
Did you just say basically that's it for me?
That's it for me.
As if we're not here
we're
anymore?
not here. No, he thinks we're going to continue on after he's done.
Guys, remember my plight. You can go at Prez Serpentor on Twitter, and you can follow the Parallel Universe 2017 where Serpentor was
It literally was not all for him. In addition to ignoring us, he wasn't even done yet, but says that I'm all done.
I'm at Almighty Ray on Twitter.
Wait, I will also say, I feel like Prez Serpentor's got a lot of explaining to do.
Why is that? Because he's been talking with Russia?
Yeah, I feel like a lot of secrets are coming out.
Listen, let's not even talk about, the secrets. It's who's telling you that he's leaking the secrets. Even if it's the people he's telling the secrets to.
Who's President Serpentor's Comey?
Just James Comey.
he's in that universe too.
He's evil enough that it's believable. I'll go with it. Any information you guys want to spread out there? Any shows coming up?
When's this episode coming out?
Friday.
All right. Tomorrow night, Saturday night, UCB Franklin, midnight. One of my favorite shows to do at UCB. It's called Tournament of Nerds, where you pick nerd characters.
I might go to this.
And they debate. Different comedians debate as different nerd characters, and then a panel of judges, also usually a bunch of nerds or some professional wrestlers. Sometimes they get sports guys. Vote, and the audience gets to sort of clap and see who wins. And I will be paired up with Leslie Cena, whose book we have promoted on this show.
Mm-hmm.
She and I are playing a tag team pair. I'm not going to tell you who we are playing yet.
If it's not Tomax and Zaymot, I'm out.
I would pay so much money to see that.
So rad.
Leslie and I were Tomax and Zaymot.
You had to improvise, but finish each other's sentences and thoughts. So you're basically playing that one improv game.
I feel like that would be a hard sell for Leslie.
That sounds awful.
I'm in. Here's the deal. I'm in. I want it.
So that's Saturday at midnight, UCB Franklin, Tournament of Nerds.
Cool. And Chan, anything you gotta promote?
I'll be leaving for Japan in a couple days. So
That's right.
So rob his apartment while he's gone.
Find me in Japan. Also, I'm probably gonna get a huge dude to house sit for us. So don't rob my house.
Yo, if you don't take a picture of every type of noodle that you eat, I will kill you.
Oh my goodness!
I am as much data as we have. We're gonna live stream it all.
I just want food info.
And think of how many cats he's gonna see at the Cat Island.
Cat Island, yeah, and
Cat
seriously,
Cafe too.
I'm honestly looking up all the fast food places in Japan because I just want to try all. the freaking crazy
you gotta go
burgers
to
and-
Jiro Dreams of Sushi. If you don't go to Jiro Dreams of Sushi, I'll kill you.
We're
There's a lot of murder being threatened on the show
apparently
today.
going to this top-notch sushi place in
No.
a fish market that's one of the best in Japan.
Love it.
If it's not Jiro Dreams of Sushi, it's poop.
That you have to get up
And you deserve to be murdered.
You have to be there at 5 a.m. to get in because
God.
as soon as the fish comes in off the boats, that's when they start going. So and then otherwise it's like a 3-hour line.
Crazy.
What's the Sarah can't eat sushi?
What?
Pregnant chicks can't eat sushi, dude. Mercury is real bad for unborn babies.
You know what else is bad for unborn babies? Not having that experience. Thank you.
If you're eating sushi all the time, that's a bad thing. If you have sushi once, it's gonna be fine.
So she's gonna go and only have it once? That sucks.
Well, yeah, it's fine. What do you want? What do you want, Gina?
She should
What
take
do you
the
want?
baby out to gestate somewhere else for
what?
the trip, and then put the baby back in. I'm not entirely sure how babies work, but just take it out for a while, surround it in a bunch of hot water
It's cool.
bottles, so it still feels
we'll
like
put
the
it in
womb.
an axolotl tank that the Tlailak Zoo will take care of for us.
Well, guys, that's going to do it for this episode. Check us back next week, and we'll be doing part 4, Duel in Devil's Cauldron. That's a hard thing to say.
Follow Chan on Instagram to see all the different noodles he's going to eat.
Oh, you really
You're
should
not
do
gonna
that.
make me use Instagram?
I don't know what you use for noodles. What's the best platform for noodles? I need to know these things.
Noodlegram? Snap Noodle?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
What's it? It's
Nope, I'm done.
Nudes.